Viruses. Scientists estimate that there are around 10 nonillion individual ones on our planet. That is 1, followed by 31 zeros. Just think about it. There are a greater number of viruses than there are stars in our universe. Well, on a basic level, most of us understand how these viruses work. They enter our cells, make multiple copies of themselves within, and eventually destroy them. When this happens throughout our body, we experience diseases. From the smallpox virus that wiped out the Mayans, to the very recent COVID-19 pandemic that has affected millions, we are no stranger to the fact that viruses have caused humanity's worst diseases. Yet, did you know that out of the billions of viruses, some cause cancer? Yes, cancer. Scientists have termed this cancer-inducing group of viruses as oncoviruses or oncogenic viruses. In fact, they are pretty common and you may have even heard of some of them. However, how exactly do these viruses cause cancer, and what advantage does it give them? Let's find out in this video. Before we understand how these viruses might cause cancer, we need to go all the way back and first see how they replicate. Let's start right from the beginning, when the virus first binds and enters a cell. After entering the cell, it sheds its outer membrane, which is made up of fat, and releases its genetic material into the cell. The genetic material of viruses can be either double-stranded DNA or single-stranded RNA. Upon entering the host cell, the virus only has one goal: to make as many copies as itself. And it does that in two ways, the lytic way and the lysogenic way. Well, the lytic way is pretty straightforward. The virus would immediately make use of enzymes in the cell to read its genetic material and synthesize proteins that would eventually make copies of itself. The cell is then destroyed, and newly synthesized viruses are released to infect other cells. However, in the lysogenic way, viruses tag along with cells like parasites. How do they do that? As mentioned earlier, after viruses gain entry into the cell, they release their genetic information. That genetic information is inserted into the cell's very own DNA, using viral enzymes such as integrase. So, the DNA in the cell becomes a hybrid. But, our cell doesn't recognize this change. Instead, it becomes somewhat of a zombie, and continues replicating as usual. In the process, helping the virus to replicate its genetic material too. A truly brilliant strategy by the viruses to increase their numbers, without being detected and destroyed by the body's immune system. Over time, the number of cells containing viral DNA will slowly rise. So, while this is good news for viruses, it is quite literally the opposite for our cells. Furthermore, to ensure our cells' proper function, the information sequence in our DNA needs to be maintained at a high level of accuracy. Thus, any changes to it, caused by the insertion of the viral genes, will change our cell function and cause it to behave abnormally, or even die. One such abnormalities is cancer, which is essentially uncontrolled division of cells in our body. For that, the disruption of genes, called oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes, needs to take place. Oncogenes are responsible for initiating cell division, while tumor suppressor genes ensure cells stop dividing. Oncogenes and tumor suppressor genes prevent a cell from dividing uncontrollably, ensuring the cell division is perfectly balanced. However, when the viral DNA is inserted into the cell's DNA, it might disrupt these very important genes that regulate cell division. In one likely scenario, oncogenes might be overstimulated, and tumor suppressor genes might be suppressed. As the perfect balance of cell division is disrupted, the cell begins to divide uncontrollably, and cancer arises in our bodies. But in reality, how worried should we be about contracting cancer from viruses? Of all the cases of cancer in the world, it is estimated around 13% of them are induced by viruses. However, this statistic is less worrying when we understand that a majority of these oncoviruses tend to be significantly less contagious than the typical virus. For example, oncoviruses like Hepatitis B, Epstein-Barr, and human papillomavirus all spread through direct contact with bodily fluids, rather than through aerosol droplets, like the coronavirus. So, with proper hygiene, protection, and early screening, we can significantly reduce their transmission from person to person. Furthermore, there are vaccinations available for some of these viruses, like hepatitis B and human papillomavirus. We have now come to the end of the video. Hopefully, it has shed some light on your questions, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.